This is Eyewitness News on LA56 with live breaking news.
Breaking news, torrential rains causes flash flooding and torrents trapping people in their cars.
We're on storm track as even more wet weather is expected to move into the area, bringing rain and cold temperatures.
And more threats amid the Sony hacking scandal, the latest warning of a September 11th type of attack targeting movie theaters. Good evening, I'm David Ono.
And I'm Colleen Sullivan. Welcome to Eyewitness News on LA56, LA's only live local newscast at 7 p.m. We are on storm track. Rain is leading to flash flooding in parts of Southern California. This was a scene in Torrance not long ago. Flooding shut down streets in historic Old Torrance.
And take a look at this picture. It was taken just before 5 p.m. The viewer who sent it to us says the water measured about 8 inches deep, flooding sidewalks.
And here's another dramatic picture of flooding. Tina tweeted this picture of cars trying to get through a lot of water on 228th Street.
So the threat of rain is also leading to mudslide concerns. We have live team coverage. Melissa McBride is live in Camarillo Springs, where people are bracing for the rain yet again. But we begin with meteorologist Jonathan Novak. He has the latest on how the storm is tracking. Jonathan.
Well, David, folks, let's start with what's happening right now with the flooding and the flooding potential around the Torrance area. We saw some pictures of people trying to drive through flooded roadways. If you're coming across that in southern county portions of LA, I should say, do not drive through those areas. It's just going to be a mess for at least a little while as we see runoff and still some flooding in portions like Gardena, Compton, up to Huntington Park and over toward Inglewood with this pocket of rain that has not let up over the last several hours. In the meantime, snow throughout the afternoon around Big Bear and over at Wrightwood. This is ahead of the next system that we're looking forward to tonight. Let's talk real quickly about what's going to be happening in terms of flooding potential. And again, there's a closer look at what's happening down around the Inglewood area. Still a little bit of rain right now. The flash flood watches that are in effect are to the south, right around the Santa Ana Mountains and around the mountains of Riverside County. So we do not see the increased risk of flooding potential around some of the burn areas that we had trouble with last week. That's good news. That doesn't mean the chance of storms isn't in there. I will tell you more about that in the timeline coming up in that full 7-day forecast in a few minutes.
All right, Jonathan, we'll see you then. Neighborhoods impacted by last week's storm are bracing for more rain tonight. Eyewitness News reporter Melissa McBride is live in Camarillo Springs, where voluntary evacuations are in effect. Melissa.
And Colleen, about 1/3 of the residents have decided to leave their homes tonight and take advantage of the time that they have to do so right now when it's not raining and things are very calm right now. Now, of those 1/3, it's mainly those who live closest to the unstable hillside. Ventura County firefighters are patrolling this neighborhood tonight along with Camarillo police, and they're going to be doing that overnight into the early morning hours when the rain is expected to hit. Deputies went door to door this afternoon telling residents they should consider leaving their homes until noon tomorrow. The mud and the rocks that came down last Friday severely damaged 10 homes. They've been red tagged. Geologists and engineers have been working with the U.S. Department of Agriculture to try to prevent a repeat mudslide. Funding through the USDA's Emergency Watershed Protection Program is helping pay for the K-rails and heavy equipment to channel potential debris flow away from home.
They're removing some of the big boulders out of the way, just picking them up and getting them out of the main flow line. But eventually we're going to do some grading up there to make it flat, so that the energy, when you have a downhill, things are going to roll downhill. We're going to make it flat, take the energy out of it so that the rock can just drop out up there, not down here.
The plan is to do that grading as soon as possible, but that will depend on the rain. While the work is going on and some people are out of their homes, private security guards are patrolling the neighborhood 24/7. That's to keep people away who may try to steal from the red-tagged homes. Residents hope that the rain overnight will be light and steady. Back here live, we have another truck that is pulling up here with more K-rail. As far as just how many they're trying to put in here, we don't have an exact number, but what the USDA tells me is as many as they can. Reporting live in Camarillo Springs, I'm Melissa McBride, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Melissa. And Foothill residents living in the mudslide-prone areas of Azusa are keeping a close watch on their properties. Many have been preparing for months, laying concrete, building fences, stacking sandbags. Mud from last Friday's storm seeped into several backyards, but not into their homes. But a man who lives on this hillside property damaged in previous storms says he doesn't know if he'll be able to live in this neighborhood much longer. The storm is bringing huge swells to the coast. Monster waves are churning offshore, making for a beautiful but dangerous scene. Powerful 6 to 8 foot swells have been seen from Palos Verdes all the way up to Malibu. And rip currents could mean danger for inexperienced swimmers and surfers. Lifeguards are urging swimmers, surfers, and even spectators to use caution.
Please swim in front of an open lifeguard tower or check in with a lifeguard. And if you're not very experienced, stay away from the water, away from the edge.
Rip currents, if you surf, you know how to deal with that. It's just mostly the power of the waves coming in. They will hold you down for a minute, and then you come up and there's another one behind it. It's not exactly fun.
The high surf advisory is in effect through Wednesday evening, so be aware if you have beach plans for tomorrow.
We continue storm track in Big Bear, where the rain is turning to snow. The snow level is expected to drop to about 5,000 feet in the local mountains. As Inland Empire reporter Leticia Wars shows us, it's all welcome news in resort towns.
This morning, heavy fog blanketed Highway 18 near Big Bear. But shortly before noon, rain turned to snow.
Do you want to go to the top?
Oscar Ruppel drove up with relatives visiting from Mexico.
Well, they wanted to see the snow. They've never seen the snow, and they thought it would be a really nice, sight and seeing event.
But the fog and snowfall had some of his family a bit nervous.
Now they're like, maybe we shouldn't go all the way to the top, because they see how, you can't see anything right now, and it's getting, visibility is really low.
On the north side of Big Bear Lake, the only ones enjoying the water were the ducks. In Fonskin, the snow was coming down in a thick layer, but in town, it was all clear. Jared Cole took the opportunity to walk his 2 dogs and enjoy the winter bounty.
You can see it on people's faces, it's just the happiness and people kind of walking around in wanderlust to see the snow on the trees and on the ground, and even the sound of just the dripping from the rooftops.
Dripping water today, icicles by tomorrow, with another round of storms headed to the mountains. Great news for ski resorts still enjoying last week's big snowfall.
We live, eat, and breathe skiing and snowboarding, so when we see fresh snow on the ground, it's happy times.
If you are planning on making a trip up to the mountains, it's best to pack an extra set of warm clothing and bring a set of chains. Reporting in Big Bear, Leticia Wars, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Our circle of eyewitnesses has been busy taking pictures and videos of the storm. Thanks to all of you who have been posting online with the hashtag ABC7 Eyewitness. Please keep it up. Just make sure to be safe. Don't take pictures while you're driving or in any other dangerous situations. And be sure to do like these people did. Use the hashtag ABC7 Eyewitness.
Another important story we're covering today. The ACLU settles a class action lawsuit against the LA County Sheriff's Department alleging violence in county jails. The Sheriff's Department agreed to federal court oversight and will adopt a new use of force policy. The ACLU says monitors will oversee the department, and a federal judge can intervene if the sheriff fails to enforce the new policy or train its officers. The Sheriff's Department is not admitting any wrongdoing, and the settlement provides no monetary damages. The ACLU sued in January 2012 on behalf of 2 inmates as the FBI investigated claims of excessive use of force, and former Sheriff Lee Baca faced increasing criticism for being out of touch with his department. Baca resigned this year. In a statement, newly sworn-in Sheriff Jim McDonald says, quote, "We have made tremendous progress and will continue to improve and work hard in key areas. The need for joint cooperation with the department and the board to commit the needed resources to improve custody and make these changes is critical." End quote.
New developments tonight over the fate of an upcoming comedy. The Interview is slated to open on Christmas Day, but tonight Sony has given theater owners the okay not to show the movie after cyber criminals threatened attacks. Eyewitness News reporter Alex Michelson is live in North Hollywood with the latest fallout in the Sony hacking scandal. Alex?
Colleen, this is a major development for the history of cyber attacks in America. This attack has really crippled Sony. This is one of the many theaters around the country that was set to play The Interview on Christmas Day, but now they have a choice. For the first time tonight, Sony is now telling theater owners that they don't have to show The Interview in the midst of an unprecedented cyber attack.
I don't think they should pull the movie, because that's just kind of giving in.
If we want to continue to live in fear, we won't release the film.
If they want to be cautious, that's their prerogative. I think if they're taking precaution, I think that's really smart.
The hacking group Guardians of Peace is now threatening a Christmas Day attack on theaters showing The Interview, a fictional satire about an assassination attempt on North Korea's leader.
Hello, North Korea!
In an email, the group says, quote, "Soon all the world will see what an awful movie Sony Pictures Entertainment has made. The world will be full of fear. Remember the 11th of September? We recommend you to keep yourself distant from places at that time."
We take those threats very seriously, and we will take extra precautions during the holidays at theaters.
The FBI says it continues to investigate the attack, and the Department of Homeland Security says, quote, "At this time, there is no credible intelligence to indicate an active plot against movie theaters."
From my perspective, it really appears to be more of a continuation of the cyber attack against Sony as opposed to a credible, legitimate threat of physical harm.
The film's stars, Seth Rogen and James Franco, say in light of the attack, they're no longer doing any interviews. Yesterday, they spoke with ABC.
The movie itself is very silly, and it wasn't meant to be controversial in any way.
Many moviegoers we spoke with have mixed reactions to the threat.
Just because somebody claims that they're going to go attack a theater isn't going to stop me.
If somebody's putting threats on the movie, I don't think I'll go see it, no.
Why is that?
Because I don't want to die.
American officials are now investigating whether North Korea is in fact behind all this as a sort of payback. American officials say that this is now being investigated as a national security matter. Reporting live from North Hollywood, Alex Michelson, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Alex, thank you. Meantime, 4 former Sony employees are suing the film studio for allegedly not doing enough to prevent hackers from stealing nearly 50,000 Social Security numbers, along with salary disclosures and other personal information from current and former workers. 2 separate lawsuits are seeking class action status against the Culver City-based studio. So far, Sony has declined to comment on the lawsuits.
Pakistan's Prime Minister is vowing his military will aggressively hunt for Taliban extremists after a massacre in a school. 7 gunmen went classroom to classroom, killing students and teachers at the school in Peshawar. At least 141 people were killed, 132 of them students in 1st through 10th grade. The school is run by Pakistan's military, and some of the children are sons and daughters of Pakistani service members. The Taliban claims the attack was to avenge the killings of Taliban members at the hands of Pakistani authorities. The 7 attackers were killed in this rampage.
No charges for Bill Cosby. Why Los Angeles prosecutors declined to take action after a local woman claimed the comedian molested her in 1974.
A brazen break-in at a popular Silver Lake restaurant is caught on tape. I'm Robert Olguin. Coming up, we'll tell you why that break-in could ruin Christmas for employees of the restaurant and the business owner.
Plus, Mayor Garcetti's plan to outfit every officer in LA with body cameras.
With the rain back in Southern California, our ABC7 rubber duck rain gauge is back too. We know this is not scientific, but it's fun to watch just the same. It's right outside our ABC7 studios in Glendale, and you can see how high the duck floats in real time. You can see very little right there, but abc7.com/live, you can check it out too.
This area didn't get a whole lot of rain with this last system. The interesting thing is pop it up there and watch it rise for this next system that's coming in almost right now. And here's Jonathan Novak to tell us more. Hey, Jonathan.
Does that duck have an eye patch? It had an eye patch and it's a pirate duck. Cool. All right. Live making it off the 7000 HD. Here's the next system moving into view of our imagery right now, but in the meantime, we've had lingering showers, instability in the air, enough so that we had some flooding around Torrance. In fact, probably still. Nevertheless, regardless of the fact that the National Weather Service has pulled the flash flood warning, we're still looking at some potential flooding with the runoff here around Hawthorne to Linwood and up toward Huntington Park and Inglewood. A different perspective here shows the 110 is right here. Here's Inglewood, West Century Boulevard, West Lawson Ave, Huntington Park, and Linwood. And we're still seeing some pockets of heavier activity right now, so can't rule out a little bit of extra flooding in addition to what we've already had in that area. And for tonight, that's more of an isolated incident, so to speak. Overall, the rule is going to be spotty activity, some snow in the mountains until that next system really rolls in. I'm going to show you the timing of that in just a second. But in the rainfall totals category, we had at least 0.67 in Torrance. That was the last reading I've seen, but I'm guaranteeing there's more than that at this point. About a half of an inch in Culver City, 0.4 Santa Barbara, Pasadena. This is with that first system. So no rain like we saw last Friday, not nearly as heavy, but we still have the potential for a little bit of flooding, but not in the burn areas we saw last week. Down to the south, right here, we have that flash flood watch, the Santa Ana Mountains, the foothills there. And then the mountain areas, we have a flash flood watch. Riverside County, that is already in effect, and it goes through tomorrow afternoon. So we could see some isolated storms like the one we just were looking at pop up from southern LA County, really down south to the OC and the IE. In the meantime, winter storm warning for the San Bernardino County mountains. Yes, we have some snow in the forecast, 8 inches potentially when this system has all said and done. There's the front moving through the central and northern portion of the state. Let me give you the timeline now, what you can expect. 10 p.m., look at the top left of your screen. There's some light to moderate rain through Santa Barbara County into Ventura County by midnight. Some snow in the mountains through LA. Here we go. At 1:30 a.m., some light to moderate rain. Throughout this timeline, there's a possibility, 20%, of an isolated storm popping up offshore near the coast and then into the OC where we see that flash flood watch in effect. By 7, 8 a.m., this stuff's out of here. We see the potential for some spotty activity in the afternoon, but I think overall we'll be done with the bulk of it by that point. So for your storm track, look for some rain tonight starting in Santa Barbara at 11 p.m. through LA at 4, waking you up, and then by 7 a.m. it's out of here. And hopefully the flooding will stay contained, if not come to fruition at all, but if it does, down to the areas where we see that flash flood watch and not where the problem areas were last week. So the 7-day forecast for LA Metro and Orange County looks like this. Tomorrow, wet, all right, stormy, chance of rain is in there, looks very likely, and potentially an inch of rain or more, but probably about an inch at most. But then we go through the rest of the week, and we're looking at good stuff. Look at that, Monday and Tuesday, we're in the 70s. Valleys, IE, an inch, maybe an inch and a half on Wednesday at the foothills down south, and that would be isolated amounts. Overall, about an inch, and then a half of an inch to an inch at the beaches, and we're looking for beautiful weather after that. The mountains, 4 to 8 inches from 6,500 feet and above. Yes, we've got snow for you guys. And then the high desert, maybe a quarter of an inch of rain. Look at this, though. By Monday and Tuesday, guys, we're into the 60s and 70s. Oh. It's December. It's December. So we're hoping that doesn't last too long right now. Maybe a few days, because we got snow that's falling.
Yeah.
We got to keep it.
Well, it's always nice to have some sunny weather for Christmas,
that's
Jonathan,
true.
so we can be boastful for the rest of the country.
Okay, I'll take that.
Thanks.
Sure.
A massive manhunt is over for an ex-Marine suspected of killing 6 relatives in suburban Philadelphia. The Montgomery County District Attorney confirms police found the body of 35-year-old Bradley Stone near his home in Pennsburg. Authorities say it appears he died of self-inflicted cutting wounds. Authorities say early Monday, Stone went on a killing rampage, shooting his ex-wife and 5 of her family members. Neighbors say the couple was involved in a bitter custody battle from their divorce in 2009. The couple's children were not harmed.
LA Mayor Eric Garcetti is taking action in a nation-leading program to outfit police with body cameras. The move comes in the wake of nationwide unrest over the police killings of unarmed black men in New York and Missouri. Eyewitness News reporter Carlos Granda shows us when the cameras could start rolling.
This will soon be a common sight on LAPD officers, body cameras that can record every interaction with the public.
When I want to activate it, I simply press twice on the center. You can hear that beep. That tells me and tells you that the system is now recording.
800 body cameras will be rolled out to officers starting on January 1st. At first, they will go into areas with high police activity.
These cameras will be a critical step forward that will provide both the officers and Angelenos with recording evidence of their interactions, helping to address the uncertainty and questions that plague so many investigations.
Los Angeles becomes the largest city in the country to do this. Community leaders say after events, both here and in other parts of the country, there needs to be more trust in the community.
A citywide program for body-worn cameras will protect the community as well as the officers wearing them.
The cameras will record audio and video, and the files will be stored in a separate location. Some say it's a good tool, but it's not everything.
I think it's only part of something else. The something else being there's still a place for training that has to be there.
To put forward that every Los Angeles police officer will record every interaction with people whose liberty they have taken away, people they interact with on the street, says a lot about how much faith we have in our cops.
The mayor will include funding in his next budget to give cameras to every officer, 7,000 cameras, and they should be deployed by June of 2016. Reporting from downtown Los Angeles, I'm Carlos Granda, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Umbrellas were out as dozens of attorneys and their supporters demonstrated against police brutality today outside the Stanley Moss Courthouse in downtown Los Angeles. Their message, Black Lives Matter. It's another in a series of recent protests over the failure to indict police officers in the deaths of Michael Brown and Eric Garner.
LA County prosecutors will not file charges against Bill Cosby in connection to the alleged molestation of a 15-year-old girl back in 1974. The news comes after LAPD detectives met with her. The LA County DA's office said today the statute of limitations has passed. The woman accusing Cosby, Judy Huth, has filed a civil suit against him.
And still ahead, Toys R Us announces extended holiday hours to help last-minute shoppers.
Plus, hundreds of families are treated to an early Christmas celebration with a warm meal and free toys. New at 7, some 800 families in the San Gabriel Valley and the Inland Empire are celebrating an early Christmas tonight. It's all part of the 4th annual Toy Store event organized by the Christ Church of the Valley. The families invited to the event got free gifts, shared a meal, got to take pictures with Santa Claus. The church hopes to bring joy and excitement to families who might not have the opportunity to celebrate otherwise. The over 4,000 gifts were donated by church members.
Toys R Us is giving last-minute shoppers plenty of time to snag a gift before Christmas. Stores will be open for 39 hours straight from 6 a.m. next Tuesday through 9 p.m. the next day, Christmas Eve. Another retailer, Kohl's, says it will keep its stores open around the clock for 5 days leading up to Christmas.
Wow.
Many stores are offering shopping at all hours to better compete with online stores, which, of course, never close.
Well, as you do your holiday shopping, please keep our Spark of Love toy drive in mind. Come join Garth Kemp at our final Stuff a Bus event of the season. That's this Friday. He'll be at the Honda Center in Anaheim beginning at 4:30 a.m. You've helped us meet and beat records across Southern California. Let's keep it up. Bring new unwrapped toys or sports equipment and help us make it happen again. If you can't make it, though, you can donate online. We'll shop for you. Go to abc7.com/sparkoflove for more information.
And we are updating the evening's top stories next here at 7:30.
Plus, a brewery break-in caught on camera. Neighbors are concerned following other recent crimes in the area.
And we're learning more about exactly where a downtown LA apartment fire started as investigators search for witnesses to the fire.
Live from ABC7, this is Eyewitness News at 7:30 p.m. on LA56.
Our top story at 7:30, rain leads to flash flooding in Torrance. I'm Colleen Sullivan.
I'm David Ona. This is Eyewitness News on LA56, LA's only live local newscast at 7 p.m. And this was the scene in Torrance late this afternoon. Flooding shut down streets in historic Old Torrance and trapped some cars. This video was sent to us from an Eyewitness News viewer, and you can see the front of one car almost completely submerged. Police say they did help people out of their cars, but no one was hurt. The streets have since cleared and have been reopened.
In Camarillo Springs, voluntary evacuation orders are in effect for neighborhoods that could be impacted by mudslides due to the rain. About 1/3 of the residents have decided to leave their homes tonight. Crews went door to door recommending people leave before the heaviest rains come overnight. Just last week, several homes were damaged by mud and debris caused by a heavy rainstorm.
And get ready for even more rain and snow across Southern California.
Meteorologist Jonathan Novak is tracking this system. Jonathan.
Yeah, Colleen, David, folks, ahead of this system, we are seeing those spotty showers and isolated storms really moving slowly, especially this one that developed around the Torrance area. We were just looking at that video, and man, it brought some really, not just heavy rain, but long-lived heavy rain as it just sat over your area. It is now drifting slowly to the north. Any storms that develop, isolated storms, ahead of this system are going to move kind of slowly, and we might see this as an issue in portions of LA County down south toward the OC and the IE. And yeah, we are still seeing some of that rain right there around Huntington Park and some snow right around the San Bernardino, or north of the San Bernardino into the mountain areas around Wrightwood over toward Big Bear. So that's good. We'll talk more about that a little later. Just another closer look here, street level view, Huntington Park to Southgate. We're seeing a little bit of pocket of heavier rain there. So this kind of goes on for the next few hours before we look forward to that system off to the west of us moving in. So with all this in mind, a flash flood watch is in effect for Santa Ana Mountains and foothills, right? And that is for now through Wednesday at 4 p.m. Also for the mountains of Riverside County, potential for flooding there. And we also have a winter storm warning for the mountains. Snows in the forecast. We'll talk more about that and the timing of everything coming up in a few minutes.
Thank you, Jonathan.
You're welcome.
Well, it's so far so good down in Orange County, where bursts of rain today haven't caused any major issues, but wild surf is whipping up the coast. Orange County Bureau Chief Eileen Frere has the warning for beachgoers.
Light rain on and off across Orange County.
Little droplets here and there, but nothing much really.
Still, even Santa is ready for the storm as he greets drivers along PCH and Newport Beach.
You never know what's coming.
In Silverado Canyon, authorities report no problems. The hillsides burned by fire last month, so far able to hold the moisture. A section of Aliso Beach in Laguna Beach still remains closed to swimmers after big waves washed away sand last summer. Ronald Spears is grateful this storm so far is not as strong as past ones.
Nothing like last Friday. It was pretty. I couldn't come out. It was that bad, you know. It was pretty. It's coming down real hard, especially out here. A lot of flooding areas, you know. But it's nice today. The sun is coming out.
In Huntington Beach, wind and high surf up to 10 feet expected make for dangerous conditions. Lifeguards urging people to stay out of the water.
This is not a time to be in the water for a number of reasons. One, the bacteria level is very high as a result of the runoff from the rain. But secondly, the seas are very turbulent and the currents are pretty vicious right now. So unless you're an expert, you definitely should be out there. But even the experts are not immune to bacteria.
And we've noticed fewer people in the water, more people on shore bundled up watching those waves. Now the high surf advisory is expected to remain in effect until midday tomorrow, Wednesday. In Huntington Beach, Eileen Frere, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
And all this rain means big headaches for some homeowners. We're talking about leaky roofs. Roofer Alan Deans and his crew have been busy for days driving from house to house in Santa Clarita Valley. At this two-story house in Valencia, the rain opened up a leak in each floor. Dean says there are a couple of things you can do to prevent this from happening to your home.
First, get a roof maintenance every year annually. Make sure your gutters and downspouts are cleaned out. Have the roofer go up there and look behind the chimney, clean out the valleys. He'll know what to do. The second thing is you can walk around and you can look for slip tiles, broken tiles. All those things are going to help.
Deans figured out the problem at this home wasn't a leaky roof, but a leaky window. The homeowner was relieved she's not facing a major repair job.
Well, work crews are trying to clean up two sinkholes today. One is at 3rd Street and the 60 freeway in East LA. Drivers are being urged to steer clear of the area. Another sinkhole has forced crews to close streets at Mission and Margarita in Alhambra. This sinkhole is about 10 feet in diameter and 6 inches deep. Crews want to make sure the sinkholes are fixed as we deal with back-to-back storms.
And the storm is bringing a lot of fresh powder to the California mountains. Here is what it looks like in Blue Canyon off I-80 in the Sierra last night. The area received about a foot of snow, which is welcome news to nearby ski resorts. Drivers needed chains to get through the area. And
use a free ABC7 Mega Doppler app to track the rain on your smartphone. It's available from iTunes and Google Play. Search Mega Doppler.
The investigation into a daring burglary that led to a big loss at a microbrewery restaurant in Silver Lake. Eyewitness News reporter Robert O'Gean has surveillance video of the break-in as the search continues for the suspects.
What should be a busy afternoon at this popular restaurant in Silver Lake is put on pause as police investigate a brazen break-in that was caught on surveillance video.
It's shocking for one. It's very upsetting, and I'm angry.
Ron Martinez has owned and operated Good Micro Brew and Grill for more than 2 decades.
Everything has basically come to a screeching halt right now, and this is a bad time for that to happen.
Burglars broke into his restaurant at about 5 o'clock on Monday morning. In the surveillance video, you can see 2 men wearing hooded sweatshirts walk up to the front doors and yank on the handles until the doors give way. The 2 quickly make their way into the kitchen, then into the office, where they proceed to pry 2 safes off the wall.
I came back to the restaurant and I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do?
In less than 8 minutes, the burglars make off with more than $10,000.
We always try to go to the bank right away, but that was a good weekend.
Martinez says he doesn't normally keep that kind of money in the safe, but he says the $10,000 that were stolen included Christmas bonuses for employees.
I have about 20 employees, so it's come at an awful time.
The burglary comes 2 weeks after vandals in Silver Lake slashed more than 100 tires.
This year we see a little uptick in property crime, which are your burglaries of motor vehicles, some home break-ins, simple thefts.
LAPD Captain Brian Pratt says Silver Lake is still much safer than it was in years past.
We still have a reduction in violent crime for the year to date, and we hope to push that into the next year.
As for Good, Martinez hopes to reopen soon, and he hopes insurance will cover his losses. Robert Olguin, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
We're learning new details about one of the people caught on camera near the scene of the massive apartment complex fire in downtown LA last week. We're also learning about some of the biggest challenges firefighters had in fighting this fire. Eyewitness News reporter Miriam Hernandez talked to investigators and has the latest.
24 hours after LA fire released video of these 2 potential witnesses to the downtown blaze, officials say they still don't know who they are. But about this one trying to get closer to the fire, we learn more about his state of mind.
He appeared to be intoxicated by the report from the captain.
The photographer tells Eyewitness News the man had been cursing the fire and shouting, "Get it out." Investigators say he may be a link to what started all this. Today, the head of LA Fire's emergency response described to the Fire Commission what he called key dilemmas.
The biggest and most profound were the exposures.
3 buildings were minutes from exploding into flames.
Part of the Da Vinci complex that was stuccoed across the street was literally smoking with heat, radiated heat.
For the first time, he reveals the location within the building where it started.
Most of the fire started right in the center.
In the middle of a 1.3 million square foot building. That presented another problem. The fire hoses could not shoot that far. Add to that the tons of unprotected lumber. What's more, says the chief, the site is located in a natural wind tunnel. Commissioners question its tight proximity to freeways.
If we had a few things going on, maybe some sort of terrorist event or arson event, it would really shut us down.
Chief Castro's bureau will now review possible changes to the building code. He says for this massive site, a critical requirement made the difference. The department had a detailed plan for fighting a fire here even before construction began. Miriam Hernandez, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
An American Airlines flight headed for Dallas is diverted to Japan after encountering severe turbulence.
And so ahead, what we're learning about the panic on board the flight.
And new details about the hostage taker and this week's deadly siege in Sydney, Australia, plus the 2 heroes we're learning about.
A man stranded on a deserted island in the Bahamas for about 6 days is lucky to be found and rescued. A Coast Guard aircrew on routine patrol spotted him. Video released by the Coast Guard shows 39-year-old Larry Sutterfield waving frantically at a Coast Guard helicopter. The crew dropped food, water, and a VHF radio while they arranged for his rescue. A Coast Guard cutter was diverted to the remote island to pick up Sutterfield. He said his boat became disabled. The Coast Guard was not even looking for him when the crew stumbled across him.
Severe turbulence injures 5 people aboard an American Airlines jet in South Korea. American Airlines says Flight 280 was taking off in Seoul for Dallas-Fort Worth when the jetliner hit air turbulence. The injuries prompted the crew to make an unscheduled landing in Japan. 4 passengers and a crew member were given medical attention by emergency crews awaiting the plane's landing. None of the injuries were life-threatening. The remaining 236 passengers are spending the night in a Tokyo hotel and will continue their flight Wednesday.
Well, that dramatic hostage rescue the world watched as that SWAT team stormed into the chocolate shop in Sydney.
They saved so many lives, but there were 2 other heroes we're learning about, and ABC's David Wright tonight on what they were willing to do.
Today, we're learning more about those frantic hours inside that cafe. 34-year-old Tori Johnson being hailed as a hero. Witnesses say the cafe manager died trying to disarm the gunman, allowing others to escape.
He was a leader. He always put his staff first.
30-year-old Harriet Denny, a cafe worker, owes her life to Johnson. Her dad watching on television.
When I first saw her running, I wanted to see that image again because I wanted to make sure it was her.
38-year-old Katrina Dawson, not so lucky. She was there having coffee with a friend, Judy Taylor, who managed to call Australia's Channel 9 from inside the cafe.
I'm pregnant, and there's one other lady who's pregnant.
Taylor survived, reportedly because Katrina Dawson tried to shield her. Dawson took a bullet. At the Flower Memorial today, teddy bears and prayers.
I can empathise. She was a mother, had 3 young children. I have a young child myself, and I just felt very sad for those 2 people.
And that is the cafe itself today. Those black tarpaulins shrouding the windows that police blew out in order to gain access for that dramatic rescue. The whole area cordoned off. Still very much a crime scene. David Wright, ABC News, Sydney.
Back here, we have had our good share of wet weather this past week, but still ahead, what this means for the state's drought.
Question for the day. Why are 500 soldiers from Fort Irwin marching down the road with Santa Claus? I'm Rob McMillan. We'll explain coming up.
Plus, DeAndre Jordan takes time to give back to a local school. We'll have the story coming up in sports. The rain tonight and last week is not nearly enough to bring California out of our historic drought. Just released satellite data from NASA shows we need another 11 trillion gallons of water to replenish our state's water supply. That's roughly 1.5 times the maximum volume of Lake Mead, the largest reservoir in America. After California's driest 3 years on record, officials are concerned the recent rainfall will give people a false sense that they do not have to conserve anymore. Californians have cut their water use since the governor declared a drought emergency back in January. But we have a long way to go. Experts say it took years of drought to make our situation this dire, and it'll take years of heavy rain to make things better.
Man, that sounds daunting. Years of rain. Well, tonight it's going to help a little bit.
We're trying to make up for some of it. You know, an exceptional drought is what we're in. That's the highest level that you can have in terms of drought. And we got some last week. We got a lot last week, maybe too much at once. This week, we're getting a couple of shots of rain, not too much at once for the most part, which is good news. This is more like what we would need and what we want. Now, that said, we have seen some isolated spots around Southern California still have to deal with some flooding, all right? Now, we know the Torrance area earlier had some flooding and probably still trying to get some of that water out of the roadways as the runoff will still cause some issues here over the next couple hours. So, yeah, live Meganopolis 7000 HD showing some readings, some echoes around Compton, Inglewood, Huntington Park, and even some showers starting to pop up. Now, this is what you would normally see with a small cell or a storm as it fires up and it rains itself out. The rain falls down into where the updraft or where that moisture goes up into the storm and the storm falls apart. This one down here, we've been doing that for several hours, and that's where we got that flooding from. In the meantime, the mountains, thumbs up. We got some snow. Look at that. Right around the Wrightwood to Big Bear area, some snow falling, and we are looking for 8 inches over 6,500 feet. So, because of that, a winter storm warning in effect through Wednesday at 6 p.m. Otherwise, in the mountains to the LA County and the Ventura County area, a winter weather advisory, I should say. And in the meantime, we do have a flash flood watch in effect for portions of the Santa Ana Mountains and over here into the Riverside County area for the mountain areas. So that means that we could still see some flash flooding at times for the southern counties as this system rolls in tonight. In the meantime, we're looking at rainfall totals from this first system, no more than 1/2 inch overall, 0.4 in Santa Barbara, Pasadena. Torrance, of course, is an exception. Now, this is good because if you remember last week, we were getting rainfall rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour around the whole area of Southern California. Not the case with last night's system, not going to be the case with the one tonight, except for some isolated spots that see a couple of storms like we just saw on the radar. Future rainfall shows by midnight to 1 a.m., shower activity moving through LA County, light to moderate. Again, isolated storms, 20% chance of that happening, especially down in the OC into the Riverside County area. This is 4 a.m. We'll move that out by 7 a.m. and maybe some spotty activity in the late morning, afternoon. But the bulk of the rainfall for tomorrow is going to be in the morning time. And then we'll dry most of it out in the afternoon. Thursday looks fantastic. In fact, we have 70s in the forecast later on. But for tonight, 11 p.m., you got rain in Santa Barbara, moving into Ventura by about midnight. 4 a.m., it's in L.A., heavy rain, isolated thunderstorms, and then 7 a.m., the rain is clearing out. So we're hoping for the thunderstorm potential to not play out too much, if at all. We really need some rain, but we don't need that trouble that comes along with it. So we'll say heavy rain in the morning, tapering off in the late morning, and the afternoon should look pretty good on Wednesday in your 7-day forecast. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, dry, a few clouds, and then into the 70s for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Valleys, IE, morning event for you as well, morning event for everybody. 1 inch to 1.5 inches of rain. That would be in isolated spots where we see some storms form. I think 1 inch is probably more like it for most of us. The beaches could see upwards of 1 inch right there skirting the coast. We're in the 70s by next week. How about that? Mountains, 8 inches over 6,500 feet, up to 8 inches of snow. And then the high desert, maybe about 1/4 inch of rain. And then next week looks really good heading into the mid-60s. More coming up on ABC7 LA.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. Yep. The Kings have fallen on hard times of late, skating their way to 2 straight losses in 4 of their last 5. They are currently finishing out their 5-game road swing in St. Louis tonight, and we'll have highlights of the Royal ones on Eyewitness News at 11 p.m. on ABC7. Ducks in Toronto having won 7 straight, and don't get a big head now. Maple Leafs up 1-0. The nice crisp passing goes cross ice to Jeffrey LeFoule, who lights the lamp with a good angled shot. Ducks having a hard time with the Maple Leaf defense, turning it over on their own zone. David Booth takes advantage, going around the cage untouched, as the Ducks get a blowout here. Or they get blown out, I should say. It's 6-2 the final. Baseball reliever Brian Wilson's time with the Dodgers has come to an end after he was designated for assignment today. Basically, that means unless a team picks him up or trades for him, the Dodgers will have to eat the remaining $9.5 million left on his contract. Wilson was a mainstay of the Dodger bullpen after joining them late in the 2013 season. His earned run average went from .66 that year to 4.66 this past season. And fresh off a big night catching alley-oops against the Pistons, DeAndre Jordan was throwing some himself today while helping to give back in the name of the holiday spirit. DJ partnered up with Dick's Sporting Goods to provide Monsignor Oscar Romero Charter School with 2 basketball hoops today. The 2 hoops will help the school to field a basketball team of their own next year, and DJ knows what sports can do to help people of all ages.
I think that having access to sports brings a lot of people together, all ages. Because when I was coming up, I didn't really get to be involved in a lot of things that happen like this. So anytime I can partner up with something like that is good. But these kids, just to see their faces, that was a joy in itself. And just to be able to give back at a moment in time like this is great.
UCLA linebacker Eric Kendricks continues to rack up the accolades in his final year in Westwood. Kendricks had already been named a USA Today first-team All-American while landing onto the second team of the Walter Camp list, as well as being named to the CBSSports.com team. Kendricks also took home the Butkus Award and the Lot Impact Awards this season.
And more news straight ahead here at 7:30 and tonight on Eyewitness News at 11 on ABC7. Flash flooding, heavy rain, even snow. Will your morning commute be a complete washout? Live Storm Track team coverage. Plus, you had your keys, you hand your keys to the valet, and this is what happens. See the must-see undercover video. These stories and all the late-breaking news on Southern California's #1 late newscast, Eyewitness News at 11 on ABC7.
It's a march for a good cause. Every year around the holidays, some local soldiers spread holiday cheer to our veterans.
As Inland Empire Bureau Chief Rob McMillan shows us, no Christmas celebration is complete without Santa.
For about 500 soldiers in the 11th Armored Cavalry Regiment out of Fort Irwin, this was the final leg of a 38-mile march from the base all the way to the California Veterans Home in Barstow. Of course, with just 9 days until Christmas, Santa Claus was also on hand to help bring gifts for the veterans.
Merry Christmas.
I think it's awesome. We're respecting the veterans, the people that made it possible for us to be out here.
This is the 18th year these soldiers have done this march. Yes, it's starting to sprinkle just a little bit, but that's not going to deter them.
Bring up your out of your mind.
Finally, after 2 days of marching, they arrived.
You did it! Give yourself a hand!
With more than 160 veterans here to greet them. What do you think about all of this?
Oh, I think it's great excitement.
Everybody here is a veteran, and to see this kind of acknowledgement is really good.
While 38 miles might not seem like a long way for highly trained soldiers, they say it is.
The hardest thing was just to keep going, even through the pain and some of the blisters, just got to keep walking.
Was it a little harder without the sleigh and the reindeer?
Unfortunately, yes.
In the end, though, they know it's not about exercise, it's about honoring and thanking these veterans.
That's what it's all about, is saying thank you to them, because our veterans have secured the liberties that this country enjoys.
In Barstow, Rob McMillan, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Are you suffering from frozen fatigue? The director of the mega hit animated feature understands, and she's sorry.
Let it go, let it go. Can't hold it back anymore. Let it go, let it go. Turn away and slam the door.
If you have spent any time with young girls, you know Let It Go from Disney's Frozen is one of the songs most often belted out by tiny young princesses. Jennifer Lee says last year parents would come up to her saying they love to sing the songs all the time. Now parents are less than thrilled that they're still listening to the songs. Lee says she's gone from thank you to saying sorry. Disney is the parent company of ABC7.
Great song. Just play it a lot. Thanks for joining us for Eyewitness News at 7:30 in LA56. Law and Order SVU is coming up next.
Have a great night.